but your first line of defense is your people. Cybersecurity, intelligence, and management for your people, training them on what to look for. And then in the event something happens, what do you have in place to go back and isolate it? How do you isolate that threat? You have visibility at the endpoint. Do you have DNS security so it can't call home to bad actors and download the rest of the package? How are you isolating and containing that? It's going to happen.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Incident Report presented by Quest Technology Management. I'm Paul Burke, Director of Technology Communications. Every week, I'm joined by VP of Sales and Partnerships, Adam Burke. The Incident Report brings you conversations with thought leaders, business innovators, and channel mavericks to help you stay productive and agile in a changing technology landscape. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Incident Report. I'm your host, Paul Burke. This is episode 13. We have made it 13 episodes. One of the reasons we made it that long is because I have a co-host sitting right across from me. Adam, how are you doing?
Great to be here, Paul. I did not know that this is our 13th episode, but it is an interesting day. A lot of things happening in the market today. 13 in some cultures, Paul, I didn't know if you knew this, but in some cultures, the number 13 is a lucky number. And it seems that at least along, people who believe in free speech and all sorts of things, it might be a lucky day for the aggressive but unanimously approved Twitter acquisition by our friend Elon Musk today. Big news in the tech space. All sorts of craziness going on there. People are freaking out. It's a lot of fun to watch. It is the 13th episode on the 25th of April. I know you hate it when I drop the dates because you can't reuse this content again, but I'm going to do it to you anyways. But it was a fun thing to say, and I'm excited to be here. If you can't tell, I am fully caffeinated and ready to rock.
You are bringing the heat. I did not know it was a unanimous decision.
It looked like Elon was going to do some really bad tender offer stuff that was going to really cause some problems for some significant owners of the stock. And it all just magically worked out. It all just worked out over the weekend. Something just happened. I'm sure there weren't any behind back channel, conglomerates or syndicates or private equity moves or anything like that. But on CNBC today, it's just fantastic. It's just, $52 a share. Everyone's happy. Yay.
But I'm sure everybody on Twitter is furious. It's like they have a new babysitter and they hate this new babysitter coming in.
Well, he is an entrepreneur. The guy, love him or hate him, you're one or the other. I won't express my views here. It's interesting. It is a big change in the technology market. A little more consumer than the stuff that we typically get involved in from a day-to-day basis, but exciting to see. And on our 13th episode too, I'm glad Elon waited, to make that final move before our 13th episode. I appreciate him. I'll send him a text later.
Full transparency, Adam. I don't know if this is something we need to do or have to do or should do. Do you own Twitter stock? I do not.
I do not, and this is not financial advice in any way. Please always consult a legal fiduciary before you make any of those comments.
That's a great point, Adam. Consult a professional. We are not professionals. We are just a couple gentlemen who are here to talk about some news stories that we think you might enjoy. And up first, there's an article on CF Futures by Jeffrey Schwartz. Citrix shareholders approved $16.5 billion private equity buyout joining Tibco, which is an interesting story. But what I find more interesting is that the new channel chief, Mark Palamba, plans to exit, and Palamba's only been there for 6 months. That's a pretty quick exit.
Well, Paul, it lasted about 5 months longer than CNN Plus. So you got to give them that. You can't tell if it's a success or failure, but with the Citrix acquisition and finally going private and kind of going through this venture capital roll up, it'll be interesting to see what parts and pieces of the technology platform they reinvest in. Citrix has been around, forever, and has been a massive player in application virtualization and delivery options. I'm excited to see what they do from a private equity standpoint, because typically what they're going to do is they're going to find the most valuable pieces that they have here, and they're going to, cull the herd when it comes to things that maybe aren't as relevant.
A few people are questioning the move. The combination of Citrix and Tibco is puzzling for many observers. Citrix provides virtual desktop management software, while Tibco is a business intelligence and data management provider. Jack Gold, president and principal analyst of J. Gold Associates, is among those skeptical of bringing Citrix to Tibco. And he says, frankly, I'm not sure how combining with Tibco will help them. Tibco is not really in the same business area, and it might be a stretch to get integrated. It may also appeal to a different customer base. Gold continues. While I am positive on Citrix going private and for what it can do for their long term strategy, I am concerned that the private equity may be forcing a merger of two properties that may not be fully complementary, Gold added, and the loss of some key execs is also concerning. But overall, I do think Citrix can pull itself together and reemerge stronger, assuming it takes the right steps. So Jay Gold there taking a shot and then pulling back at the last second, being like, but I'm sure they'll be okay.
Yeah, it's very hedged comment. I appreciate what he's saying, but the idea is you got two different types of consumers, you got two different types of businesses. TIPCO is definitely, they do what they do from a data analytics standpoint and business intelligence and putting all that kind of data management together. Whereas Citrix, I mean, Quest, we've been a partner for a long time. We've been helping them from a cloud services standpoint. We've helped, manage and deploy Citrix farms for helping to deliver applications. So you're getting data analytics mixed in with application and virtual desktop availability. Those are two different worlds, but what we're seeing with everything right now is that consolidation. So, there might be a game plan out there. There might be, pieces that they can leverage from how users are accessing their applications and maybe use that as a line of business intelligence for, okay, if people are leveraging data in this way, what's the best way to present it? They are definitely different operational channels. So it'll be interested to see what's next in the partner community for Citrix, how people who have existing licensing agreements, how they kind of move the knobs on that. I'm not sure if they're going to go to more of the subscription, annual contract value, or how they're going to pay their people or incentivize them. It'll be interesting to see how it affects the channel as well as their user base.
Up next, we have an article from threatpost.com. And as always, all our articles will be linked into the description. So if you want to go learn more, just go over to the description. You'll find the link over there. So on threatpost.com, Tara Seals writes, most email security approaches fail to block common threats. A full 89% of organizations experienced one or more successful email breaches during the previous 12 months, translating into big time costs. An overwhelming number of security teams believe their email security systems to be ineffective against the most serious inbound threats, including ransomware. That's according to a survey of business customers using Microsoft 365 for email, commissioned by Siren.
I like the way that they frame the idea that, hey, a lot of stuff is getting through, right? And one of the reasons we often evangelize the idea of having layered security is the threat actors are constantly evolving, and there's sometimes this illusion out there that you can, get a silver bullet or put in place this piece of software from an email security standpoint. Everybody's using email. I think I don't know, 500 unread emails right now that are slowly driving me insane because I got to get to all of them.
I got to ask, Adam, are you an inbox zero kind of guy?
I would love to be. I
Mhm.
would love to be. I never ever get there. It's a slow death. By the end of the week, I'm probably more than 1,000 unread emails. And I try to clean it up over the weekend. I don't know about you. I can't do the zero thing.
I've briefly reached that nirvana every once in a while of like inbox zero, but then I just literally hours later, I'm like, how do I have 30 emails all of a sudden? And for those brief moments, fantastic.
I did a jailbreak. I don't know if you know about a jailbreak scenario, but sometimes you get so many unread emails. You scroll through them, you make sure you didn't miss anything major. You have your VIPs and your customers and everything like that. And then you select all, mark red, and just start over. Just completely start over from ground zero. It's not a preferred method. It's not the best method for following up. It's probably not a good idea, long-term strategy, but sometimes you just gotta cut bait.
So an interesting piece in here from ThreatPost is 89% of organizations experienced one or more successful email breach types during the previous 12 months. And the number of email breaches per year has almost doubled since 2019, according to the report.
Well, the amount of emails coming in, the sophistication of the attacks, like people make them. I mean, so an email breach could be one endpoint being infected. It could be one user, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be catastrophic, but it can still be a good wake up call. Like, hey, you got to train your people, right? You got
Mhm.
to train your people on how to look. That's your first line of defense, right? You got to train your people on how to look for malicious email content. Like, does your CEO really come in and ask for you to open up a bunch of Amazon gift cards? Is that something your CFO would ask you to do? We see organizations that had fraudulent wire transfers, initiated and then pulled back. But your first line of defense is your people. So cybersecurity, intelligence, and management for your people, training them on what to look for. And then in the event something happens, what do you have in place to go back and isolate it, right? So how do you isolate that threat? You have visibility at the endpoint. Do you have DNS security so it can't call home to bad actors and download the rest of the package? How are you isolating and containing that? It's going to happen. That it's a great report. What is it? 80%, 80+% in the last 12 months had an incident of one type or another.
Yeah, 89%.
Yeah. I mean, so 9 out of 10
Mhm.
organizations had something get through. Things are going to get through. They're getting more and more creative. They're making them look like DocuSigns. They're making them look like Adobe Reads. They're making them look like PDFs, all sorts of stuff that they're trying to get through on email.
The report says, well, 99% of organizations offer trainings at least annually. So 99%, almost everybody is offering annual trainings. Only a fifth, 22% of organizations analyze all reported messages for maliciousness. So people are they're reporting emails, but only 1/5 of them are following up to see if it's a malicious attack.
Yeah, so the follow-up on the malicious activity is good, but what you said previously as well was that 90% or 99% have training. What we found is it has to be, more than just once a year training. It has to be in conjunction on a common, like on a consistent basis to keep it with the end user, right? So quarterly, monthly, in the event that they click on something or that they do make a wrong decision, that's a great opportunity to train them at that time. So we offer that service. It's something we bundle in with our email security, but we always recommend you have layered security. Train your people, secure your email, secure your internet, secure your traffic and your outbound calling, and how you're communicating with the outside world, making sure you're not, communicating with bad actors. But definitely that layered security approach is the best thing you can do, and constantly training your people.
Nice. So the first layer starts with training and then subsequent layers.
Yep, you kind of that whole, and then there's permissions, right? So different people in your organization have different permissions in the digital world, the same as they do in the physical world, right? So you're not going to give a person who's brand new to the organization the right or the permission to go in and present, quarterly numbers to your investors or your board of directors, right? That's a permission thing. That's something you earn and through being part of an organization or investing in the organization or your tenure there, right? Same thing in the digital world. Do you have permission? Do you give a new hire permission to access HR records? Do you give them permission to hire financial, tools? Do you give them permissions to access critical database information on key clients? That's just another layer of defense you have to enable within your environment. Sometimes people I mean, I can't tell you the amount of organizations we go into, and you have multiple people within that organization have global administrative privileges.
Hmm.
Bad idea. Giving someone global admin authority is a bad idea. I mean, there's a lot of organizations you go into, they have the right to make changes on your local machine. Paul, you and I were working on uploading some software onto my local device that could potentially make my audio better. Personally, I think I sound fantastic, but sometimes I come across a little garbled. I don't have rights to my machine. I can't upload that software on my machine because I don't have that privilege. That privilege is an example of another security layer that protects people from doing dumb things. That's a technical term, Paul. Dumb things. Write that down.
To be fully transparent, all the emails we do receive often say more Adam, less Paul. We love his voice.
I wasn't going to say it, but the truth is out there now.
Sometimes when people are given admin rights, it's not a choice, it's just the default setting. Do you find that it's often just a mistake or an active choice to give somebody those sorts of like global admin rights?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, sometimes that is the default setting. That kind of goes back to the conversation we often have, that the discipline of looking at that and reviewing those policies, who's responsible for that? We'll go into organizations, and some of the times the first question is, hey, who's responsible for the security organization? Because that person is going to need to be responsible for updating those applications, updating those policies, and maintaining those controls. Not everyone is going to think in that way. You can try, but not everyone's necessarily going to think in that way. It certainly can be a default setting. But if that causes a breach or if that causes some, loss of revenue or something like that, the default setting excuse is not going to go very far. It needs to be maintained and managed.
I think that's a really great point. And our final story comes from channele2e.com, which is a fantastic website if you're looking for information on technology, equity money, and what's happening in the channel.
KKR, massive firm. They bought, Barracuda, they bought CyrusOne, they bought Optiv or made investments in. Very, very large. We kind of continue to see private equity pushing in the MSP and MSSP space. To echo what you're saying about, channel E to E, I mean, that enterprise to enterprise channel news, I really like kind of jumping on and checking out, seeing what's going on in the market. And it kind of gives you a good snapshot of what people are up to out there. Their top one today, because it's of a lot of interest to a lot of people, is there's a $19 billion fund floating around out there. And I love how they just kind of say like another one, right? I think it's their third one. Yeah, they raised another $19 billion. Like, oh, that's cute. And they're going out there and acquiring organizations. So a lot of investment coming in. We've talked about this before. Private equity markets, public markets, private markets, they're all going after that monthly reoccurring revenue, gets good valuations, gets good multiples on the street. People who are the investor folks out there are looking for monthly reoccurring revenues, and we've worked with partners. We continue to work with partners. And you might want to say, like, what does this have to do with technology? People make decisions based on how their stock is valued, how their company is valued, and how they get paid. And that can drive decisions in the technology space, right? How people consume technology oftentimes has to do with what's the output of that investment. It might not be a very technical conversation, but I definitely think it's important for anyone in the IT space to keep their eyes focused on, what the money folks are doing, because that is going to drive behavior on how things are consumed, how partnerships spark up or dissipate.
Well, Adam, that's all the news fit to talk about.
That's it. That's the whole day. I think it feels like we just got started, Paul. I don't know. That ripped past pretty quick.
Time flies when you talk about Twitter, Elon, and all these stories.
I just love all the live photo ops of Elon. Like if you go into CNBC or Bloomberg, I mean, that guy must have so many photos. Like they got one where he's tipping his hat. They got one where he's kind of giving the thumbs up. They got so many shots of Elon. He's got a great publicist. I'm not sure who his publicist is, but that guy is everywhere and he's always smiling.
Adam, thank you. You just gave me my homework assignment for the week. I'm going to figure out who Elon Musk's publicist is and come back with that information. But in the meantime, I hope you have an amazing week. Audience, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing week as well, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, Paul. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening. The Incident Report is brought to you by Quest Technology Management. With over 40 years of experience, Quest is a leading technology integrator working seamlessly with your staff and systems to achieve your IT goals. Learn more about everything they do at questsys.com. And if you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can always email Adam and myself at theincidentreport@questsys.com. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.